when I was at school, it was like, well, these exams are important because then they mean you can do this for your next set of exams. And if you do well in those exams, then you'll be able to have the choice of what you want to do in subjects. And then if you do well in those subjects, that will define your university. And, if you do well in university, then you'll get X job. And, it was sort of devastating, to be honest, to go through that track and then get out of university in a recession and find out it didn't matter how well I'd done in the exams, that actually wasn't going to change whether my first job was working as a shop assistant, regardless of the master, degree you have. Like it doesn't.
I know people with PhDs who they clearly planned their entire path and went through 12 years of schooling, and they came out and they couldn't find a professorship anywhere, and they had to move to like a country they didn't want to move to or a state they didn't want to move to, and so it destroys their plan. It's like it's like the very common Mike Tyson quote that someone can have I think it was everyone has a plan until someone punches you in the face.
Yeah.
and I think that rings true for most things, because there's this concept that I think play can also, as you've mentioned, can be synonymous with exploration. And so if you don't give yourself permission, which I think is the key word of this show, permission to explore and to play, well, then you're never going to find anything else out. You're just going to stay with this plan. And ironically, one of the main things that human beings are terrible at is forecasting and planning. We can't never tell what the future is going to bring. Everything's always going to be a little bit different or completely different than the idea of what we have, even with some data behind us. And so I'd like to maybe end off on this idea of how play is the antidote to perfectionism, and if we can have like an anti-perfectionist sort of mindset, I think it even takes us between what I think PhD Carol Dweck would call either a growth or a fixed mindset. Where have you heard that concept before?
Yeah. Huge fan of Carol Dweck.
I read that book, and it blew the back of my head off. Whereas I think everyone is on a spectrum. Not everyone has a fixed, not everyone has a growth. But the concept is that a fixed mindset, people think that their abilities that they have now, that's what they are or are not good at. That their skills and capacity for things are fixed. Or people that have a growth mindset, they think that people that you can change, that you can learn, that you make mistakes, and that's how you get better. For just explain for people that may not have are not familiar with that concept. And even the analogy she uses in that book, that like, let's say you're climbing a mountain, the concept is not to look up and see how far you have to go, it's to look back and see how far you've come. And so I think the anti-perfectionist mindset will take you further in play, it will take you further in growth, it will take you further, hopefully, towards a life that you really value.